Hey, I'm Adam Cook. Welcome to the Bite Britain podcast, a show dedicated to interviewing the most successful restaurant owners in the UK, learning about what goes into their incredible menus, but more importantly, what it takes to run the successful restaurant in this day and age. Today, I'm interviewing the three friends, Arthur, Tas and Alex, the masterminds behind one of London's top brunch spots, Brother Marcus. If you haven't already, don't forget to head over to our Facebook page for a chance to enter a competition to win one of 3 meals for 2 at one of the 2 Brother Marcus locations in London. So without further ado, let's get to it. Here's the podcast. Guys, welcome to the podcast. So I just wanted to start by just asking a little bit about yourselves and just learning a little bit about you personally. Tell us a little bit about Brother Marcus, a little bit about the restaurant, and kind of, I guess how you guys kind of know each other, where it all came from, and yeah, kick off.
Well, basically, so the three of us have known each other for now 11 or 12 years, almost 12 years. Yeah, so we met at sixth form, and like we were all mates at sixth form, and we then after that kind of went our separate ways in terms of like professional life, if you can kind of call it, or career paths, because nothing attempted career paths. So we so Alex, it's failed, but Alex was an actor. Tas, you studied photography, was a photographer. I did humanities at university and then worked,
and then never used it,
and then never, obviously, because I don't think you can use that. But worked in an office, and we basically, like, the three of us have all had experience in catering, like sort of throughout university. Alex, obviously being an actor, is a waiter as well, and Tas was brought up in Crete, and his parents own a restaurant out there, so you've grown up around it really. And then I whilst at uni, did various street food jobs, working for various catering companies, and then me and Tas actually spent a couple of summers doing festivals with a pizza company, and that's how Tas and I sort of realised that we're both all right at this industry, I reckon.
I think it wasn't so right at the cooking part, but good at the taking charge part, and making sure doing that operation it works.
And also, like, to be honest, working in street food is actually quite a lot of fun, so it's quite a nice intro into the catering world.
Yeah, but, I used to work in street food. Yeah, that's definitely it's definitely gets you used to pressure, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you'll never get that sort of couple of hours of ridiculous pressure anywhere else apart from street food. I reckon those lunchtime
brunch for us.
Brunch for us on the weekend.
That lasts for about 5 hours.
Yeah, it lasts a bit longer. But yeah,
it changes the way you look at festivals as well, I find. If you ever.
Oh yeah, 100%. Once you start working behind this, sort of working at festivals, it changes them completely. I think it actually makes them better.
I think it ruins them.
Oh well, yeah.
I want to be behind them where all the real action is.
Yeah, well, I just can't handle festivals anymore. So actually, I need work to break it up if I do festivals.
So do you guys still do street food stuff now, or is you very much focused?
No, like my ex-girlfriend worked for well, yeah, a street food company.
We might be doing something.
Yeah, but we are,
somewhere. And we might be doing the brunch festival at the end of August.
I'm pretty sure we are going to be doing London Brunch Festival.
Yeah.
And then we're looking
which will be a test of our street food prowess. Like, we haven't done it.
Yeah, and patience, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
With each other.
So that must. I mean, how do you find? Because when I did street food, I sort of similar thing. I did it with a friend from school. And how did you find? Have you guys? How's your relationship been throughout the sort of journey and stuff? Is it?
What, the three of us?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd say we're best mates. Like, and we were best mates before Brother Marcus as well. Like, we've got there's about 4 or 5 other people in our friend group, but like the three of us are still like we're very much friends first. Friends first. Yeah.
I mean, probably just about. It's taken a hell of a long time to really like. I mean, one, just like learn how to work together. Like, there's been a lot of arguments and just working out like what the dynamic is. And,
I think the problem stems from not having systems, and there can be 1,000 ways to do something, but really there should only be one. and that is the proper way, you know. And as soon as you establish what that is and create systems, the arguments diminish because we all know what needs to be done, and we all know how it needs to be done. And I think that's the thing that changed the most, wasn't it? When we first opened, not sure what happens to the bins, what time it goes, what is to do with like closing times, opening times, what, like, when do you start tidying up and start making it look like it's closed, all things.
Another thing is just on like a personal level, you think you know someone really well as a mate, and then when you're working with someone, you see a completely different side to them, and
it's also been turn off. Like we in our first year, I think we just spent all of our time talking about Brother Marcus.
And our mates would be like,
"Yeah, can you shut up?" Like, so, like, even like we'd be out, and you'd be like, you'd only notice it when someone else says it. And then now we're really good at not, if people ask us, about Brother Marcus, like when we're really talking to them, but I also tell them that it's boring. Well, it's not boring, but like you don't want to hear about it. But we're now good at separating work and personal life, which I think is, in terms of maintaining our relationship, is key. Like you can't. I mean, everyone says
it turns into a meeting, doesn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah, exactly, and it did for ages, but now we know that.
We actually can now go for dinner, just the three of us, and I'd say a good 90% of the time we can avoid work.
Yeah,
and then maybe so we can actually decide, and it doesn't really. We don't really have to say like, right, we're not going to talk about work now. It can kind of just happen. No.
Yeah, and also, like, I mean, we also still do argue. Like, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that. We had dinner and one of us left.
That was me.
Yeah, that was him.
But we also argued.
But
we also argued as mates. Like,
exactly. We're looking at. I mean, we like as a group of friends. I mean, exactly. Yeah, we're fine.
You're all good. Okay. No storming out today then.
Yeah. Hang on. Yeah.
We got time. So, like, what was the main inspiration then behind opening Brother Marcus? I want to start with the name because I don't understand where the name comes from, and I'd love to know. I wondered if it was some like biblical.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, it came to us like so. Basically, Alex's brother is called Marcus.
Well, I've got three brothers, and when I'm talking about them to mates and these guys and so on, I would say, oh, Brother Marcus did this, or Brother Tom did this at the weekend, and it became a bit of a joke, Brother Marcus, because it sounds biblical or whatever.
But even before we wanted to start a restaurant, we were like, we're going to start a company called Brother Marcus.
So the name came before the idea.
Yeah, we decided as a bit of a joke. We said we're going to start a business going to be called Brother Marcus. Doesn't matter what it sells. And then when we actually came round to setting up a restaurant, we were like, well,
Brother Marcus kind of works. And also, it's also a talking point. I mean, you've asked about it, and everyone does ask about it, which is great.
We had a lot of realization. We're doing a lot of work for our friends and helping them launch their own street food businesses. We sat down together. We're like, we've got to do this for ourselves. It's stupid doing all this hard work.
We were all at what festival? It was number 6.
Yeah, we were
festival,
at festival number 6 in Wales, and we were all sat in a tent counting someone else's cash. And I think we looked at each other and were like, it's annoying it being someone else's. Not that we do a lot of cash counting, because it's actually really difficult to get.
That makes it sound really shallow.
It makes it sound shallow. I've never counted that much cash, like, at Brother Market.
We're still yet to achieve that level.
But, we're getting there.
Yeah. So what was the inspiration behind actually starting it then? So I mean, what actually led you to say, right, because it's a very specific sort of, you're really. I mean,
the three of us realised we're good at this. Like we work together well, and we actually happened upon a space in Shoreditch on Commercial Road, and we were going to put a sort of a posh kebab concept essentially into this space, and we did all the research, did everything, and it just wasn't. We didn't have the balls to go through with it.
We pussied out.
Yeah, we pussied out on that.
The basement was
there was flooding in the basement. It didn't work. But we put a lot of work into this, and we realised we were good at this. We worked together well, and then luckily we happened upon the site in Balham. Through a sort of a connection of a family friend, and the guy who ran it it was a Greasy Spoon before, and he wanted to just not run a cafe anymore, And so we came to a deal with him, and we looked in Balham, realised that Balham is the brunch capital of London at the moment, and I think it still is.
I remember when you guys opened there, actually, because my my partner, she lived just around the corner, and I remember
exactly.
And actually, it was the name that actually got my attention, because I was like, Brother Marcus, what on earth is that that's opening? I mean, my memory might not serve me correctly, it often doesn't. But was you guys doing yoga in there or something at one point?
Yeah. So every Tuesday we'd have yoga, like a yoga. One of our friends is a yoga teacher. We do that. We don't do that anymore, but we did yoga. Like we were like, well, we've got this space. It's not open in the evening. We just want to, get people in and people know about it. I think it actually really helped the yoga, like at the start, but because we didn't have
It definitely confused my understanding of what the place was, I have to say, because I was sort of like, hang on, is it a restaurant? Is it a yoga studio?
Fair.
But to be fair, I ended up visiting it quite a few times.
Exactly. Okay, good.
What is it? I think it's beetroot fritters or something like that.
That was a thing. That was a thing, and now they're much better. They're no longer beetroot, but they are as good.
That was the sort of
that was our first form of the stepsister, exactly.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about your food then, because that's what I really want to get into. I mean, where does the inspiration for your menu actually come from?
So parents we wanted, being a cafe, there's the whole Antipodean side to it, but my parents being from Greece and everything, and us not being Australian, we didn't want to go down the
pure Aussie route.
Yeah, we're different. We don't put sweet corn in our fritters. It's a similar thing, but we needed to have our own different take on it and put our own Brother Marcus identity on it, and not try and copy someone else. There was a lot of teething issues regarding that, and trying to make something that was perceived as slightly more unique and identified directly just to us and no one else. Take for instance our courgette, sweet potato and feta fritters. All those combos, all those ingredients together are a pretty Greek Eastern Med sort of. So it's all about taking what has been done, modifying it, taking our own little unique take on it. And then with the photography background and stuff, is trying to do it in an Instagram-worthy way, because all our customers are this marketing tool. So it's, we're still evolving today. We're still learning. Take the second site, for instance. We had to bring on a second menu onto that. So it's constantly changing, constantly learning. And as long as we stick true to ourselves, not try and be somebody else.
Yeah,
we'll work out.
We had a real decision when we knew with Balham that when we were to open the next site, it had to have an evening menu tagged on, because it just, as much as Balham's great and it works, but it doesn't make sense to have a building that you pay so much rent on and not use it all day or night.
Yeah,
and so we knew we were going to have to tag on an evening menu, and we took a long time sort of playing around with different concepts, and we were like, what are we doing, trying to come up with something out of the blue? Like, it sits right in front of us, like Tassos' like
background and
his background and what he's grown up cooking. And
it's harder to make something up than to do something you've always known. It's just using that knowledge or using the skills that you have to try and make it your own.
There's a lot of thinking, I think, isn't there, with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
You can always look at other people's eggs in their basket and go, oh, that's so much better, but really,
But it is always also very useful to go and look at other people's stuff. Like, I mean, we even before we started, like, we were all fairly knowledge. Like, I mean, we all know a lot about foods. We all liked to look for good food here and there. And we like, I mean, foodie is an annoying word, but I'd say the three of us definitely were, and obviously are now. But
famous quote from an artist movie, because if you can't create, steal.
There's all like, I mean,
do it your own way, because you'll never be able to copy them. You just got to stick to yourself and be confident with your moves and just go for it.
So, I mean, you came onto our radar particularly for your breakfast. So I just wanted to ask you guys not just about the inspiration of the breakfast, but what actually do you feel makes a good breakfast? So what are the key ingredients? If you're coming up with an idea for a good breakfast, I mean, what do you actually look for?
I think really first important thing is be simple. There's a lot of places I was eating and do eat that people, I don't know, people try and be too complicated, and they try and be, yes, there's an element of being incredibly having to be incredibly well presented, and there being maybe some unique ingredients in there and so on. But people in the morning, they're just,
I mean, the reality is when you wake up first thing in the morning, if you're eating at home, you're mindless at that point. Whereas you once you move into sort of like, if you're going out for breakfast, you're not quite engaged, but you need, like, the way that you're going to engage is by seeing a pretty, like, interesting menu. And I think we've done that with our breakfast. Like, and also we also think that breakfast, and it is the most important meal of the day, obviously. And why shouldn't the same amount of effort go into breakfast as it goes into every other meal? Like, I mean,
you have two different camps.
Yeah.
One is I want to come down on a hangover and I want a greasiest, beefiest thing that's just going to make me feel better.
Yeah.
You know, then you've got the other side, which is,
I've just done a yoga class.
At Brother Marcus, no doubt.
It's beautiful, that's healthy, that you know, they can tell all their mates that they've been and had this dish, and it's all about designing a menu that can tick everything of a person's needs. So you don't want to double up on things, but don't fry anything
during the breakfast. We don't deep fry anything. We obviously wouldn't fry eggs and stuff. There's no fryer during day service, which I think we try and
keep things clean. We try and keep it healthy. Try and keep it simple, but we try and do it in a way that no one else can replicate at home. As soon as you get into that sphere, then we might as well just stay at home. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose that the presentation is even more important now, right? Because of things like social media and stuff like that.
Oh, 100%.
They're going to be snapping that stuff all day.
But I think also importantly with sort of Instagram is it's important that Instagram is like Instagram is like a byproduct of the fact that it tastes good.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
And like, it's very easy to fall into the trap of creating something that just looks good on Instagram.
Yeah, I could name like 15 different places in London.
Yeah, I've gone to places because a dish looks good on Instagram. I've gone there, it tastes like cardboard. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's that's a very, very important point. I mean, there's a lot of restaurants out there. You see that they'll only use like certain colours in their colour schemes in their plates, and so that their Instagram page looks nice. I mean, it's, you know, it is balanced. You know, it's got to taste good.
You've got to make sure you're not setting yourself up to fail with Instagram, because set the bar so high, and you've got to meet that expectation when someone comes in. Otherwise, they are only going to be disappointed and they won't come back.
It's a battle I have with my chefs all the time. It's we've created a dish, we've taken a picture of it, we put it up on Instagram ourselves. People are going to see that, they're going to come. If they do not have a polished image in front of them on a plate, they're not going to leave satisfied. It's as if you promised someone something and then, you know, completely gone halfway to give them what they want. You know, are they going to pay half as much? Are they going to complain? They're going to try. But
I guess you know, it comes down to some element of simplicity as well, because you need to replicate that look every time. And I guess
600 times a week.
Yeah, that's also something else important, is that the amount of volume that happens on a weekend. It's about getting a dish that one you can actually produce enough of on a Saturday, Sunday. Because sometimes, I mean, on Balham, I think Balham you can do up to 600, 650 people over a weekend.
Wow, yeah.
Most of them order one dish. So, like, make it easy to get out within 10, 15 minutes. And, you know, the systems need to be in place. And it needs to be able to work with the systems. Yeah,
So what is the most popular menu item at the moment? Tell us about it.
Which is... So, yeah...
Sorry, what was it again? I didn't hear you there. Sorry, what did you say?
It's a stepsister, which is everything on our menu is called after. Either the brother special, sister special. Was quite a lot of fun little take on things.
Bob's your uncle, in-law,
family,
Mother Nature.
Yeah, put it all.
If anyone could come up with one for the porridge, that'd be greatly appreciated, because it's been 3.5 years and we've still not got one.
It's just called porridge.
I think, yeah. Papa's porridge? No, that's not good, is
it? So it's a best-selling dish. It's our most Instagram dish. The stepsister is sweet potato, courgette, and feta fritters that we kind of do in discs, and we stack them, sandwich avocado and spinach in between it. Then around the edges we spiral turmeric yogurt and then we sprinkle it all with
crispy kale
and put a
poached egg on top.
So
which I had lunch before this podcast now.
Yeah.
Incredibly good, incredibly nice and herby as well. And there's everything about that is just, I mean, how we came across it took us ages actually to come up with it. We wanted it on the menu for a while, but it took us about 3 months of testing just
to get a fritter.
Well, it's funny because you remember the beetroot fritters, and that was very much in the testing stages.
Because I don't know how long they must have lasted only a couple of months. Beetroot.
Yeah.
So what is your? So we're going to go a little bit off topic here. What is your testing process then? How do you define? Like, is it feedback? I mean, what is? How do you know you've hit the spot?
Yeah, you might have this is actually something we're not coming up against at the moment, but something we're working on is the creative process. And I mean, when it's the three of us, when it was the three of us.
I went to art school, Alex went to drama school. You get given briefs, and it's something that got hammered into us over 4 years. But there's a tricky part to it.
Yeah, so basically we're not struggling, but we find it difficult that when someone on the bar or the kitchen comes up with a dish and it's not good enough, or for whatever reason doesn't fit on the menu or whatever, and it's really horrible to have to shoot someone's idea down.
Yeah, of course.
And so we've sort of this week come up with a sort of creative system or a guideline for everyone. And I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but the 5 steps are: study the brief. So it isn't like what it is.
What's our concept?
Yeah, and then do your research. So really, like, look at what's out there. Look at other, like, what's popular in other cities, and even other restaurants in London. Go and actually eat food. Don't just look on it someone's Instagram. Go there and like try it and so on. Yeah. And then experiment, and then evaluate, which is working out the costing, working out how much you're going to spend for, where does it fit in the menu,
which is kind of automatic from like sort of most sort of senior chefs. That is their process goes, like, they know about that, but it's which is quite interesting to see, because I mean I didn't know anything about that before, but it's definitely a massive part of that process is costing.
Yeah, and then the last one is then implement, and the implement is quite important because it's all well and good coming out with a dish, but you've got to get it logged into the systems and that we have, and
train the staff.
Photographs, train the front of house, train the kitchen, get everyone, add it into the front of house Bible, all the ingredients are and how it's made. So the customer
you've got enough for your first day service and how much you predict you're going to consume and what,
Yeah, the creative process suddenly becomes quite a convoluted, big process that sort of, but it's trying to keep it creative at the same time as like productive, because a lot of the time you can brainstorm and actually nothing comes of it. But if there is a process we are working on at the moment, so that brainstorming isn't wasted. That brainstorming is actually something that comes sort of, there's some tangible product at the end of it.
Yeah, of course. So I mean, in terms of obviously, Brother Marcus, you've seen a lot of success. You've got your second place that's open now. I mean, what would you say is like the biggest factor that's contributed to the position you've got yourself to now, where you've got 2 sort of successful restaurants?
So one huge one is we got some advice early on when we'd opened Balham, and we sort of started to decide that we might be quite serious about this. We took some advice from someone who owns some restaurants, and he said, if you don't measure it, you can't manage it.
Okay.
And we had no systems in place. We had no idea what money we were making apart from looking at the bank account, and no idea what staff percentage was, what our rent percentage, any of this stuff. So then we went on a sort of 6-month journey of turning the system into, I guess, sort of
a spreadsheet.
Yeah, a spreadsheet.
A very, very anal spreadsheet that if anyone was to look at it, be what the fuck is going on? But we look at that and go, this is the most incredible bit of information.
So each week it took us 6 months, but each week we know what our staff percentages, what our rent percentages, what our bills percentages, what our waste percentages, and food and drink, and all the GPs.
Give an example of them at the base.
So like our
staffing should be around about 30%. Food costs should be around about 30%,
including waste.
And
then rent and rates together. So occupational costs should be 10 to 15%. Your bills should be about 10%.
Which leaves you, or should leave you, with a target of 20%. As soon as all these other ones start eating into it, you're left with absolutely nothing. And sometimes if you're not and it's very easy for your staffing percentage to be 38%. All of a sudden, that's gone. It's very easy for loads of things to get burnt in the oven because someone's not paying attention.
The big one that's helped us is managing wastage on a singular ingredient level. So each week we know
take our top 20.
how many avocados we've wasted or eggs each week. So it's quite complicated, but
I mean, I bet the avocados waste easily, don't they? Because I cut one open and within 10 minutes it's brown. So
I mean, the biggest one I would say is over portioning. So it is considered wastage when a chef gives too much. Basically, the set recipe on a plate.
You feed, you do 1,200 people a week. 600 of those plates are going to be on a Saturday and a Sunday. Not much can happen during the week that's going to muck about with your numbers. As soon as Saturday comes and you fed a huge amount of people, 10 grams extra on a plate is going to amplify itself by 300, and all of a sudden, all these avocados have just disappeared. Where they gone? Start putting them in their pockets now. We're like, we're just giving out too much food, and it doesn't fit into our model. This is Alex. She's our head chef here in Angel.
Hello, welcome. So that's an important point. So I guess you guys use that as really a dashboard to, so you're trying to spot where things are going wrong before they go too wrong, right?
Yeah, because I mean, with our accountants give us management accounts every single month.
It's a business,
and that's based on the bank account. So theirs is entirely correct. Ours is pretty accurate.
Reading. So who's the mathematician then out of you three?
Alex.
Alex.
Yeah.
I shit at
spreadsheet guru.
Yeah, absolutely love a spreadsheet.
Brilliant. So what would you say was the biggest challenge that you faced? What's the thing which if you look back, you think that was a real challenge that we had to get over, that we was literally pulling your hair out?
I don't know. The biggest, and it's ongoing, is staffing. Not just the staffing, but like managing teams of people, like managing people. It's that is the single most difficult part of this job is dealing with. I don't really like to call it dealing with, but like having a big team underneath you and managing them like that it's not easy. That's that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that a lot of people overlook when they turn their passions into businesses, is the
100%.
management side when you scale up.
Yeah.
Because everyone's so different as well. It's like trying to manage different people's personalities and understand the psychology behind the way people work and stuff. I mean, would you say, I mean, how do you actually manage that? I mean, what's one of the tips which you would give to say, like, in terms of managing people? I mean, what are some of the things you've learned over the last few years and how to actually do that effectively?
I'm probably the worst at this, so I'll have a go. You've got to try and you've only got so many hours in your day. And if you don't have the team on board with you, you're going to burn yourself out. And it's a real occurrence in this industry when people burn themselves out. So it's about leading from the front, but also giving the people the space, the time to be able to prove themselves right, and for you to be able to like encourage them to do that. And I think it gets to a point where, everyone has their moments. It's about not overreacting in those moments where you make something worse, but also try and encourage the good bits and it's also the bad bit.
A lot of people always talk about like, make it always feel like it's their idea, but actually it's your idea kind of thing. But I think really you've got to focus on inspiring someone to do the things you really want them to do, and not just forcing them to, not just making them do it, otherwise you get fired, or but actually encouraging them and engaging them.
I mean, there's a lot of leading by example.
The question is, you pay for their backs, you pay for them to be there, but it's how do you engage their brain to go that step further and to to care about the business as much as you do.
It's a really, and anyone who's worked in hospitality knows that it can be really repetitive, and you're in the same place, serving the same people and the same dishes. It can be repetitive. So you need to find ways to engage people and engage in each individual person. You know, there's not one written system for every single person.
I think one of the challenges I think I've certainly had in business myself is the sort of the difference between you owning the business and someone who's actually working for you, and how it's often easy for you to fall into the trap of thinking, well, that person should be as passionate as me.
Oh yeah.
They're there to get their wage. That's, you know, whereas it's your business, and it can be quite hard sometimes to manage.
I think accepting that makes it easier, because it's not that it lowers your expectations, but it makes you realistic, and then don't stop trying to think that everyone's going to do the same job as you, because they're a different person, and so you've got to get the best out of that person, and what can they bring that is really positive for your business, and encourage that, and in every way possible try not to shut it down.
And I guess like not falling into the kind of the micromanager kind of role as well, where you're trying to just micromanage every little thing because you want your spin on everything. It's like, you know, and it's not always the right way. You know, it's not necessarily that you're always right. You know, sometimes you have to kind of step back and go, okay, this person might actually have a pretty good idea here.
And the only time where you really need to is when you see something is going to have a knock-on effect on your costs. You know, if it's something that's going to be little, you know, £5-10 here, you know, because you've done this and it didn't work, it's fine. If it's something that could be like 200, 500.
Yeah, that's where the spreadsheet comes in. Yeah.
There's a fine line between there isn't a fine line, like 500 quid's 500 quid. But I think it's, you know, it's nowhere that line is.
A big one as well is knowing when to, with staff, is knowing when to just tell someone off. You know, should someone be told off the fact that they wasted 200 eggs that week, or do you need to set up a reward system for when they only waste 140? What's the line between rewarding and just giving someone a bollocking?
I mean, I think when the problems like that come up, it's often, you know, it just highlights an issue with the process. You know, why has that happened, and how can we avoid it in the future? Yeah, absolutely.
So then there's also like sort of the other thing. If you babysit too much, then you're constantly on the end of the phone. So it's like it's enabling people and then sort of being able to step back. I think with staff, but it's nice now. Also, we've got a pretty established hierarchy, and we very much respect that. So if we have an issue with someone under, like sort of for instance a waiter, I'll go to the manager instead of just going straight to the waiter, which is the greatest thing ever. Like having that hierarchy just takes so much stress in terms of the people management off you, and puts it, so it basically like delegates it to the people who you're paying to do it. Like,
and we sit down. Tas sits down with both head chefs weekly, and sous chefs, and Arthur and I sometimes just sits down with bar managers and general managers and assistant general managers once a week, and just chats about what went on, what to improve on, and then you just follow the whole meeting up with notes, and then you assess the notes next week. So there's a constant process to keep everyone in touch, so no one feels like there's a distance growing between us and them.
Yeah. Also, I mean, there is.
Do you like track performance and stuff like that of people in certain ways and things?
It's difficult to track individuals' performances because it's not like a sales based thing.
No, of course.
I mean, you can sort of do sales on people sort of on the tills, but then you've also got the chefs in the background who are like, so it's difficult to do it on personal performance. It's sort of restaurant performance basically, but that is also that's one of the annoying things about this, is that everyone's got an input into the final product. It's difficult to sort of, bonus systems they are in place, but they're quite complicated and sort of but they're also a necessity, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, absolutely. So what would you say are the biggest habits that you guys have that contribute to your success, either individually or as a collective?
I think one that I think all three of us do is being self-critical, and really, really asking yourself, have I done the best I can do there? And being honest to yourself. and you know, and have I really gone about that the right way? Do you know what I mean? And rather than just doing what comes to mind and not thinking about it, but really evaluating whether you've done that the best way, or whether you're really working your hardest, or whatever. But that's a key one.
Another good one that it took me about 2 years to come to terms with was waking up and accepting that any plan or any idea you possibly have for doing that day could be thrown out the window because a problem has arisen. We deal with our job is to deal with problems. So waking up, you've got to look at your phone. Oh, thank God, everything's perfect. You carry on doing. You've got to know where that line is. Where you go, I get 100 emails a day. 90% of them I don't even need to even look at. And you look at that 10. These ones are actually going to make us money. These ones are actually going to affect our turnover. You know, there's a lot of things that last year I had a little crisis where I was doing a lot and I didn't see any results for it. So just step back, just don't do it. And then you find out what those bits are that you actually need to do.
Yeah, it's prioritizing and learning to really step back and go, right, what is going to be effective? Which jobs are going to be effective and which jobs aren't?
Yeah, there's a saying, isn't it? It's like the 80-20 rule, like 20% of the effort can equal 80% of the results. And it's trying to understand what those are.
And that's just standing back for a second, don't panic. You know, suddenly loads of emails come through and something goes wrong. It's not to just panic, it's to go, right, take a breather, what's going to be the most effective way to deal with this right way, and let's do it. And I think we've got very good at, that's not necessarily a habit, but we've just got good at knowing tactically how to be effective. Other habits.
I don't know about there's the three of us know exactly who's good at what.
So, that's an important thing, because obviously working together specifically as friends as well. I guess it's important for you to also have your role. So you own this, you own that bit. You know, exactly.
Like, so we like, and that. And knowing that you can rely on the other person to do something or to help is a really good, and also to draw, like to I mean, it sounds stupid, but to draw on help when you need it. Luckily there's three of us, so if I'm in like a tight spot, I can ask two of them, and I know one of them will probably be able to help me at that given time. I mean, I've got myself into a massive crisis before because I just didn't ask for any help, and then I realized, okay, I've actually got two pretty clever guys who will help me out with stuff, which is a habit. You can look at stuff and go, okay, I literally cannot do this, but I know Alex or Tas can do that bit, and it spreads the load, obviously. But.
Yeah, of course.
It then comes into the fact that, you know, as Tas was saying, don't have a day set out for yourself and expect that to happen every day, because something might go, I need a hammer this, go, cool, let's just be flexible.
It can be quite upsetting when you have all these plans to do something.
Although saying that, Saturday, weekends now, I used to dread phone calls because it would mean that one of us would either have to go to Balham or come here. And now it's like, okay, no, we'll look at this. Like, you guys can actually fix this. Like, it's taking a step back, looking at a problem, and then, we have become just very good at solving problems, basically. Yeah. Those problems come from the three of us.
And I guess going back to the team structure and making sure that there's people that have the responsibility to take those off your hands as well, I suppose.
Exactly.
Right.
Totally.
And making sure that they know that's their specific role, which is good.
Okay, so a big one for our listeners, which I think is a really important question, is, if you could give one piece of advice for anyone considering to enter in the restaurant or the food industry, what would it be? And don't say don't do it.
No,
that's the second one.
Yeah, that was actually when I read the questions, I was like, just don't bother. No, because it actually is a very, very good, fun industry to be in. But
I think we said, we were talking about it actually, and we said, immediately I said, get a business partner. But then Tas was like, well, that's not necessarily true, because
we all know the first step is to come up with a name, right?
Oh yeah. Writing them down.
But surround yourself with amazing, hardworking, driven people, and work as hard as you can to keep them there.
Yeah.
And
know where to invest your time with those amazing people. You know,
that it's the biggest cost your business will pay for.
And your biggest success will come from your staff. Biggest failures will come from staff. You get the right people, you do the right things.
We've got some
success.
Amazing. I mean, each other as well. We've got each other, and we're really lucky to have that.
But we've also got an incredible.
We've got some amazing staff who, honestly, I can sleep at night because of some of our staff.
And we have some bad staff that we don't sleep over.
Yeah, but when you've got someone you can trust to do a certain job, you don't think about it, and that's that brain power. You're not wasting that brain power because you can trust someone.
We can use ourselves and our experience to look at the business and then push those guys to do even better.
You're
always going to learn from these people. You know, you've got your way of doing things. They've come from different experience. They've got their way of doing things. You know, we're the first to admit that we are bad at certain things. As soon as someone presents you with something better, you latch onto that. You take that.
I think that's a big one as well. Is advice to anyone who's to open a restaurant is learn or quickly learn how to.
Not always right.
Yeah, know that you're not always right.
Yeah,
come to terms with the fact that you're going to be wrong a lot.
That's a hard one for a lot of people, especially
like put your ego aside. I mean, that's been the main
you have to do that with
customers
arguments anyway. But
you know that you're going to have to redo something you spend hours on, just throw it away and do it again.
Yeah, ideas might be really shit, and just know that that's fine.
Also, my answer to my instant answer to that after. My don't do it is get good accountants. And actually, having spoken to these two, it's not necessarily get good accountants straight away, but get an understanding. I think this is within any business. Get an understanding of numbers, because that will suddenly bite you in the bum. Like if you don't have a complete, full understanding of base of accounting for. I mean, just basically like money in and money out. Like it's slightly more difficult than just the bank account. And if you can understand that as quickly as possible, or even before, which would be great. I mean, you look at a lot of successful restaurants and they're actually run by accountants or ex-accountants, and you
know your numbers, they say, don't they?
Exactly. Yeah, and numbers. Like you need to be able to have your head around numbers, because you see restaurants that should work and don't because the guys or the people behind it don't have a clue about the numbers.
Everything might be someone might set up a restaurant and everything might be perfect, but they might not realise that their food costs are just 3 times too high, and that could run you into the ground. It's that simple. I mean,
passion is great, but passion doesn't pay the bills.
I think that's the problem with not just food businesses, with any business. I think it's absolutely golden point really, is that the numbers are going to make or break you at the end of the day, and you've not got a handle on it.
Quite literally.
But at the same time, as numbers, remember that it's a really creative industry at the same time, and you're dealing with people, customers and staff, and you can't run them like you run numbers. You have to use not just your brain, but you have to use your heart and listen to people and understand. And so it's this sort of fine balance between a really creative but a number-driven business at the same time.
Yeah, of course. We're coming towards the end now. So I mean, the final sort of closing question that we've got in. So tell us what is next for Brother Marcus. Let us into some secrets if you've got any. Also, I mean, what can we look out for? What's coming?
Well, first off, the lunch menu.
Yeah. So at the moment we're redesigning a menu. It's been quite a tough one to get past the line, but last night we had quite a nice sort of like closure to a very long creative process.
Yeah,
trying to get all those bits together. And
hence we've been spending time creating a creative process. I know that sounds.
So we're at the moment, brunch is amazing, but there is that point where you can't sell wine with eggs on toast. So what we're trying to do is trying to create something that goes from breakfast, lunch, then dinner, and we don't really close. And on weekends we do the all-day brunch thing. Which kind of goes against what we've just been talking about, but there is something more to this than just brunch. Brunch is great, brunch is cool, brunch has got us where we need to be, but the brand or the restaurant needs something more, because the tie-in between brunch and just dinner is too varied. It's a bit too too extreme, and I don't think there is. It's not concise enough and easy enough for our customers to understand.
A lot of people in Angel come in and they want lunch, but a lot of people come in and they want brunch. So we're creating a clever menu that looks after both.
Encompasses both, yeah.
So that'll be coming in the next, I'd say, definitely in the next month
and a half, 2 months. Let's call it, yeah.
Don't want to, coming out.
Exactly, yeah. And then also, obviously, we are we want to expand. So there's look out in the next however long.
In the next year.
In the next year for a third site.
We take our
London?
time.
Still in London?
Yeah, still in London. In London.
Organic growth, not
quick
growth.
Yeah.
Organic.
Luckily we're all 28 years old and not got mortgages and kids and stuff. But
it happens quickly.
Yeah,
we can still take risks.
And we can take our time, and it's not the kind of thing we're looking to really rush, and we want to get it right.
No, absolutely. I think that's an important point.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So that's pretty much the end. So if you could, tell us where can we find you? What website, Twitter handles, Instagram accounts.
So website brothermarcus.co.uk. All the socials are at brothermarcus_.
An actual Brother Marcus, the religious type, it's got the Brother Marcus.
Yeah, it's some American priest.
Some American priest actually is called Brother Marcus, but we've now got more followers than him, so it's now fine. So social, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook.
One other thing to look out for is in Balham we do supper clubs.
Yes.
Which we rent out our kitchen and give other people in the same boat as we were 3 years ago the opportunity to test out their restaurant concept. So go on our website, check those out. You can book online.
You can sign up to the newsletter on our website and you get a monthly newsletter and monthly supper clubs update as well on that.
So if anyone wants to inquire about doing a supper club for you guys via your website,
or just Balham at brothermarcus.co.uk.
Yeah.
And you grab us or the managers in Balham and give
we'll
you an opportunity to have a restaurant for a night or more if you want.
Awesome, incredible. Well, Arthur, Tas, Alex, thank you so much for your time. That was an amazing podcast, amazing insights. Thank you for being so open with everything. And I hope to see you guys again soon.
Definitely,
man.
Nice one, man.
Thanks for listening to Bite Britain. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bite Britain, and also subscribe to us and watch the video version of this interview on YouTube so you can get updates on future releases and, more importantly, exclusive opportunities to win prizes from our awesome guests.